Okay, the geniuses will see us now.
I'm a pro.
He's very unprofessional.
Very unprofessional.
These are our newly arrived surgeons, Doctors Trowbridge and Greenbaum.
Doctor?
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 We're not doctors.
Are you sure they can handle this?
Oh, we can handle it. We're professionals.
You'll forgive us if we're not instilled with confidence.
Potentially unprofessional pieces of content.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're on episode 9.
What is up? Yeah, I don't know. They're out of order.
We're in double digits now.
We did a group podcast of fucking 5-6 people, and it's so hard to edit it and do anything with it that I don't even know if I can post it.
Oh, is that the one where we were doing it?
Yeah, where we were all in the lobby or whatever.
Yeah.
And we dropped names every 10 seconds, and it's just impossible.
That one was more just chilling, you know?
Yeah, and I was trying to include our friend Gabriel because I didn't want to leave him out. Even when you mentioned it earlier today, you mentioned the pod, and I was like, oh, he's going to feel left out. He literally came up to me one time, and he's like, how do you start a podcast? So,
what does he...
Don't do that anymore.
Did he tell you what he wants to start it?
Did he tell me what?
What he wants to have it about, or anything else?
No, he's just like, I think I'm interesting. I think he's just wants to... And it happened after people started talking about the Purple Scrubs nurse girl story that I'm gonna tell in a second. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing he heard my name all the times, and then podcast, and he's like, okay, well now I have to start a podcast. But yeah.
What advice did you give him?
I was like, well, just come to me anytime you actually want to do it, and I'll help you out. These are the basic things, and it's more work than you think, but you can do it.
That's good advice. Mm-hmm. Speaking of advice, I think to keep it medicine related, I have a good piece of advice.
Okay.
It's not funny. Why are you laughing?
It's fine.
Man, I've been so sick of just feeling like I'm not doing anything, especially on telemetry floor. You do your presentation in the morning. Sometimes you don't even present. And then you just go about your day, go to the library, study, whatever the hell. And
just for people who don't know, presentations are the main things we do. It's we tell the attending doctor about a patient, we give all the info and stuff, and then they kind of criticize us based on that. And
basically we tell the boss about a new patient, and then we give our assessment of what's going on, and the boss attending tells us what we should do to treat them. And I can't believe I haven't thought of this until now, but I feel like I'm wasting my time in this rotation. I go down to the student floor or whatever, the library, and I'm just wasting my time there talking to fucking knuckleheads and doing jack shit on my phone, whatever the hell. And then I get home and I'm tired. I'm like, why am I doing that? I can either do work, be tired, or do nothing and be tired. I'm talking to these dummies is not going to get me anything. It's not to be mean to them, obviously, but...
By dummies, do you mean the other med students?
Just everyone in general. There's no benefit to me just shooting the shit. Mm-hmm. So what I decided from starting Monday, tomorrow, I'm gonna look up all the patients on the census, see who's interesting, make a list, and I'm gonna go door to door or room to room, and I'm gonna go examine them, and I'm gonna see if they have any cool features, if someone has sepsis, try to listen to their heart or lungs and see what's going on. And I think that'll show interest, and no one does that. But the other more important thing is I feel I'm not good at anything. Heart sounds I'm not good at, lung sounds I'm not that good at, looking at people's physical appearance and figuring stuff out I'm not good at. And so I feel the biggest thing I need to do is work on seeing things and figuring out what they are, and I think that would really help. Plus at least that way I don't need to study for IM that much. I'm 80% done and there's 4 weeks left. I don't need to study at the hospital. Plus, I don't study well at the hospital anyway. So I might as well go look at the patients and see some cool presentations.
Yeah, IM is we're in internal medicine right now, so it's I don't even know how to describe it, the hospitalist, the person who...
Yeah, you come to the hospital for anything, you go to the medicine floor, which is where we are.
So it's an overarching I don't know, theme of medicine.
Yeah,
It's
it's coming
medicine.
for anything heart related, you come to us. Kidney related, lung related, you come to us. Like
Right.
basically anything goes wrong.
It's not surgery. It's not
Yeah.
emergency. It's just medicine.
If you don't need surgery, you're coming to us basically.
No, you have a good point though. I think it's good to take stock of like if you're being productive every once in a while, especially like that. For me, it's almost the opposite. Like I like constantly trying to be productive, and then it like is like ruining my life. So I'm like, all right, you know, it's okay if you just spend an hour or whatever at lunch just fucking around on the main
Yeah,
floor.
you know, I didn't say like there's anything wrong with spending an hour, but
100%.
then like
yeah,
you know, and people are enablers, I think, for the most part.
for sure.
Because, you know, depending on who I'm working with, you know, our friend, you know, your lunch husband, you like to say,
right.
it's like, oh, hey, let's get food. Oh, hey, you know, you
Yeah.
want to go downstairs, you want to go chill, you know, stuff like that. It's hard to say no. But I think I'm going to like try to, you know, leave the other people and just do my own thing. Because I'm just like done being complacent. They were complaining about us the other day, the residents. They were like, they told us that we're good, but not all the students are good, and they want to see like more of us. And I'm like, what did I do all day? Like, did I do anything that was productive? I did like an ABG, which is like a blood test, and I presented. Besides that, like, did I do anything? And the answer was no. So I don't know.
Although there are some forces at work making it so that we don't do that much. But yeah, if you really put your mind to it, no matter what the hell's going on, you could be productive and get shit done. You just gotta cut out the bullshit and then put in productivity, like things that actually help you.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Like, what do you usually do?
Well, lately I've been with Blue Team, which has been tough, just because rounds take the whole goddamn day, and so trying to learn from rounds while walking around, it's hard because you don't actually get to really do anything. Like, if I want to be productive and learn from the patient, I can't just walk up to him and start like listening and doing different things. Like, that'll be like, stop, we're doing rounds, even though that's the point of rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's tough in that scenario. I'm finally off of Blue Team though, so hopefully I'll get some more stuff done. Also, like I said, I've been trying to chill out a little bit so I can actually like enjoy things, and then it refreshes me for when I actually want to like study and stuff. So I'm kind of in like I've been in a different spot, you know.
Yeah, but one thing I realize is that like it doesn't take any effort from me, like any mental effort, to just go and like look at someone. So I feel like that's more of like my break. If I were just to like sit and just talk rather than like go around and talk to patients and just like do stuff, I don't think there's much difference in like the mental effort it takes me.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's different for everyone. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's probably not like too important, but you know, we don't get to interact with the patients that much, so the more we can do, the better, I feel. But anyway, that's my advice for anyone out there who's currently in the same situation. Okay, time to drop your bomb. Go.
Okay, here it is. So big news on the Keagan front.
Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna freak out. Okay,
Not
so
for freaking out.
you remember when I was dating my girl before?
Kiara?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit that.
You
but
don't have to.
I don't?
No one knows who that is. She doesn't go to our school.
I suppose. Kiara. Bro. So you remember that one time we were walking in the park. We had just finished playing soccer or whatever, me, you, and we started talking about, you know, contraception and like, things like that. Well, sometime, you know, I raw dog it, and then she's on oral contraception, and hopefully she's taking it on time, right?
Yeah.
Well, one time she didn't up here. I'm guessing. And so she came to me. She texted me one day and was like, "I've been feeling dizzy. I've been like almost passing out."
Where is this going, dude?
And I'm like, "Oh, you know, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah."
Maybe you just miss me so much.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, well, you should go in if it's rough.
Yeah.
Anyway, she did going, and She was pregnant. It was crazy. She came to me like that day or whatever the next day and was just dropped it on me. He was like, "Don't be mad. Like I'm pregnant." And I'm not. Like obviously, you know, I was involved in this too. And then yeah, I mean it was wild. That was crazy. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a few months later. I don't have a child. So.
Wait, what? That was months ago?
Yeah.
I didn't know when that was.
I mean, I've been dating her for over a month now, so it had been a few months.
Okay.
I
thought this was like after you guys like, you know, cut the cord already.
No. It was before.
Okay.
And I mean, I could tell this story forever, but she was worried about, you know, it affecting our relationship, and was also worried about having another abortion because she's had one before. So it was like this crazy mix of emotions. And then, I mean, main part of the story is this. I pretty much spent the next week. I mean, this is why I took a week off, almost a whole week off of surgery to start off the rotation.
Oh, that was like ages ago.
Yeah. So me and my brother Austin were texting back and forth and calling throughout like 5 days. Just, how do we not have this child? How do I not have this kid? Like, cause she like at first was like, "Don't be mad, don't worry, we're gonna take care of it." And then the next day was completely convinced she was having the kid. So I don't know who she talked to. I don't know what happened. But I don't know if I was too comforting of her at first, because she thought maybe I was gonna be mad, and then I wasn't. And then she's like, "Oh, maybe we can just make this happen," because she wanted me to. She would do anything to have me like stay, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe she was thinking that might be a thing, you know, or she was just trying to see how I'd react, and then it turned out I didn't react bad, and she's like, "Sounds good, let's do it." She was talking about cribs and stuff, dude. It was crazy. And then, so me and my brother were just night and day working on this. He's like literally doing his full-time job, has a kid too, and in between that, he's calling me, being like, "All right, what are we doing, bro? Let's do this." It was crazy.
Wait, just, you know.
Yeah.
Just to like insert something for next time, I read that if you give a girl a lot of vitamin C while she's pregnant,
we talked about everything.
You guys read about that?
We looked up that. We looked up all this other stuff because her issue, I have no idea why, was if we can stop it like quote unquote naturally by taking things like a bunch of vitamin C or something like that instead of doing the abortion, then that would be okay. And so just anyway, she had a bunch of reasons that didn't make sense, but I had to accept them because otherwise I would sound, you know, not willing to listen to her. So it was like, it was wild. It was like trying to deal with emotions and logic and illogic. And then, man, at the end of the day, after many days of discussing it with her, meeting with her, I couldn't go into work because I was so fucking distraught and thinking about what my next move was. We finally convinced her. It was crazy. And it was, I mean, it sounds bad as like I convinced her, but I was like, "Hey, you know, bottom line, like I had to play an asshole, like, because bottom line, if I had a kid, I would be there for them. Like I wouldn't just leave them out to dry. You know, I wouldn't just be there financially. I wouldn't be okay with myself. So I'd have to see them. But I didn't tell her that. Because I knew she would be like, "All right, well, I'll keep him around." So I was like, I will be there financially for the child. Like that is my like final statement. Like I will be there financially. Like I got you. You don't have to even discuss it. Like it's over with. And then but I have to do my own thing. Like I'm on this journey, you know, I'm doing medicine. It's going to take me different places. So I can't be there, you know, which is half true, half false. But man, she finally, it was crazy. It was, the whole thing was wild. She was so manipulative throughout the whole process. It was crazy. And granted, I wasn't telling the full on truth, but I didn't lie. Or she was just, it was crazy. She would say anything. It was wild.
Man. That's so fucked up.
I know. It's so crazy. Yeah, I almost had a child in New York.
Yeah.
Dude, what would I do with that? That's crazy. And I would feel guilty from the whole thing. And if I stayed with her, I would feel completely, like, manipulated into the situation. Because she didn't want to have the kid either. She already has one. She doesn't want another one. It would just be to keep me around. And also, this was just to see how I'd react. But it was just, it was fucking crazy. I saw the true side of her, too. Like...
So what does she do? You know, like the drug induced or whatever.
So yeah, she ended up doing the like suctioning it out or whatever.
DNC or whatever.
Yeah, and that had happened before, and then she was guilting me with all this stuff. She had had it before, and then it caused like problems. She was talking about some of them didn't sound like there ever complications of that, but she just said it anyway, and I can't say no, that can't happen, because then it sounds like I'm an asshole. So I have to accept that that's actually what happened, and so it was kind of crazy. But she ended up doing it, and there's no complications, and there's no issues with it. It's very safe.
That's good at least, yeah. She went to oh fuck, I said the hospital name. What time is it? 15 minutes. You gotta take that out. You were there for like you're like, hey, can I watch the surgery? And you went in and
Jesus.
held her hand throughout.
God, no. She was like, never mentioned that shit to me ever again. She was like super angry at me. And then immediately after that happened, she was just all like, hi, how are you? Like, it was like nothing happened. I was like, oh my God, like my whole life just almost collapsed. And now it's just like, chill, okay.
Yeah.
So I just accepted that, but man, it was crazy.
That's too wild, but I think like no guy would blame you for like that. Just because if any guy in the same situation, any other med student you ask, I think would say the same thing. Like, I know for me, having a kid would be like, fuck my life. You know, it's...
And here's the thing. This is unfair of me to do, but I know for a fact that is not good for her to have this kid either. I won't be there as much as I could for the kid. I don't want to be with her the rest of my life. Like, this isn't good for her either. Or it isn't 100% not good for the child. The child shouldn't be born because it's not good for the child. I'm not going to be here for the kid. Like, that's so fucked up. And so, but explaining that to her, it was so difficult. She just wouldn't hear it. I don't know. Even though she knew that too, but she just kept saying, I don't know. Just the most illogical stuff. How do you even have
kids when you're like, you know, a resident or like a student? Like, it's not...
Unless you're in like a completely solid relationship, like, and you're both maybe even gonna stay where you're at right now, like...
Yeah. That's you could go anywhere in the world.
And also, let's be honest, if anyone does, it's probably an accident. Like, few people are trying to have a child during residency. Yeah, it's just wild.
Damn, I'm glad you like got through that.
Bro, imagine if I would literally have a kid coming soon. Like, it would be being born soon. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
You guys be going in Lamaze class and
oh my God.
Reminder and like...
So crazy.
Yeah.
Just reliving it right now. I'm just like having goosebumps and shit. This is crazy. So yeah, I owe my brother a lot, man. I was calling him like every day, like multiple times a day, like, what's the next move? I was literally sending him screenshots and messages being like, all right, what are we doing? Like, dude, it was... I wish I could convey to you the emotions I was going through.
I don't think I'll understand, man.
My whole body hurt. My stomach was just in knots. I couldn't do anything on a couple days when she was convinced we were having it and like was talking about cribs and shit. I was in a fetal position on my bed, just sweating all night. Like, I didn't sleep. Like, it was, dude, most intense moment of my whole life. I've like fallen out of like 3-story windows and broken my femur and like, you know, had people die, and like this was the craziest moment. It was wild. Man.
I can't even imagine what that's like. I can imagine like 1% of it, and I'm already scared.
Yeah, dude, it was so crazy.
But I think like I couldn't tell that anything was going on, so I think like you handled it better than I would have, because everyone would have known. I would have like broken down, honestly.
Oh man, it was tough. And I mean, there was days when I'm sure you looked at me and you're like, this motherfucker's depressed. But, because I mean, it's not worth trying to hide everything in, but I didn't want like other people to know, because I didn't want things like else getting in there.
Why would you want anyone to know?
Yeah, and why would you want anyone to know? But I'm fine with it. The bottom line is I almost want to tell some people now, just so that like, it's like, hey, this shit does happen, the best, you know, to the best of us. But
no, but you tell someone, it just fucking spreads, you know?
Yeah, right,
That's
right.
Insane.
Oh man, this is the craziest shit. And I have even more to say about it, but I just don't want to make it a huge like.
Just keep going, man.
I mean that was the main portion of it. It was just trying to like deal with the illogical stuff, because it's like when someone says something to you that makes no sense and you know it's not good for them, you just it's so hard to respond. And you want to respond emotionally, which is like, no, that doesn't make sense. What the fuck? Like, look, I'll write it down for you. But if you do that, it ruins the whole thing.
Know.
And I went through those like roller coasters, but I noticed the more I controlled it and just kept being persistent with my points, like, but it kept like understanding where she was coming from, even though I didn't, like, being like, hey, I understand, like, this is a crazy situation, so that's why you know, but yeah, it was crazy. I'm like,
it's a lot of like emotions. You're not like, you know, the girl has a lot of emotions, and like it's really tough. Honestly, I feel for her, just because society sees like that shit.
Right, and so like, and so then. And I think one of the big changes is she went to her mom and stuff, and, you know, her mom had her without, you know, the dad being in the picture, and then she had her kid without being in the picture. So if both of those things happened, well, you know, why wouldn't they have this next kid? They've already done it before, you know, she's already done this, like, so why wouldn't she do it this time? And so it's like, even though she had bad reasons for doing it in the first place, now I have to, like, contest with her past bad reasons with, you know, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, just like, you know, the families be, oh, you know, she's having a, you know, kid out of
right, so now they all have judgments, and now she's dealing with all those. It's not just what she thinks, it's what everyone else thinks.
Everything, like, you know, having another abortion, you know, if that gets out, and then just like, you know, the guilt of like, you know, getting one.
Right, and that's the biggest thing I understood the most is like, shit, the guilt itself, like, that's tough. You know, I don't know what to tell you about that. But like that, all of her other points made no sense. It was just crazy.
Is she religious?
She's no. Okay. She's the most. I mean, she made that as a main point of hers, but she has never told me about Jesus or anything. The entire time we've been together, she's never been to church one time.
Then she remembered, right. Oh God.
Yeah. Right. Then she was screaming God's name, but no, she is not religious by any means.
Man, I'm terrified. You know.
Dude, crazy. And here's the thing: if it happened with a girl that was like reasonable, like other girls that I've dated, fine. But this, she was just so it was the manipulation. But she was only doing that for her own, you know, defense. Like, so I get it. But just some of the stuff she was saying, you would just be like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, by the end, when I finally was like, I guess, quote unquote, convincing her, she was convincing herself though, she was just saying these horrible things about me. Like, you're a bad like, you're a horrible person for this. You're like, you're just despicable. Like, you wouldn't even be a good father if we had this. Like, things that she didn't even believe, but she's just trying to, like, you know, rile me up or whatever, you know, whatever it is. And yeah, so I just took all that like a champ, and I just, you know, I was like, you know, I agree with you. I was like, I agree. You're right. Yeah. Like, you know, whether I actually believe it or not, I was actually just like, yeah, I agree.
Damn, that would have been so stressful, especially like during rotation. You're lucky it was like in the beginning of the rotation.
Dude, it fucking ruined the first few weeks, but oh man.
And you guys got through it after all, hey?
Yeah.
Maybe she is the one.
And then then it was like, okay, what do I do now? Now that she finally got it. I mean, first of all, me and my brother rejoiced. It was like the craziest feeling ever. The most relief. Oh my God, dude. And then after that, he's now known as Saint Austin. He's been sainted.
I have some condoms in my thing if you want them. The ultra thin ones are really good. It's like almost like having nothing on.
Well, yeah, definitely tell me about that after. I'm definitely gonna figure that shit out from now on. And then we were dating. You know, it was like dating a little bit after, and I was like, this is not gonna. I'm not gonna let this last forever. Maybe I should end it right now. I wasn't sure, but I didn't want her to go off the chain. You know, if she got the abortion, then I was like, okay, bye. You know, I feel like she could do something crazy, so I left it. You know, I kept dating or whatever, even though it felt weird. And then I finally broke it off with her. But
that would have been the worst time to break it off.
Yeah, I just I didn't want anything crazy to happen. And then it also wouldn't be fair to her.
How was she mentally? Was she like mentally strong?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that at all. She was not mentally strong. She was completely going with the waves. Whatever anyone said, she would kind of just go ebb and flow with it, especially her mom and her, the people, her family. So my influence just meant so little. So it's like, fuck, how do I get around this, Yeah. Because, the bottom line is even though I was selfish throughout this process, I also was thinking about, the main thing I was thinking about is this child. I'm like, yeah, I'm also thinking about my guilt toward the child because I brought him or her into the world, and I'm not gonna be there for him. But I know I'm not gonna be there for him, so it's like fuck, you know. And not even that, but I'm having it with a person who I know I'm not gonna be with, or be even in the same state as probably because I have I don't have anything holding me in New York, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like fuck, this isn't fair to that guy.
It wouldn't have been fair to anyone, man.
No, right.
Like, not to
and
her.
definitely not to her. And she would only be having it because of the influence of her family. And it's like, I don't know if that's good either for her.
I think,
so I think I had, I don't know, if not moral ground to stand on, at least like logical ground to stand on. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this everything I have, you know, even though, you know, abortion obviously isn't a good thing.
all the conservatives listening to this are like, fuck this guy.
I don't know what people feel. I felt like I had ground to stand on, so I just acted on it, you know.
Nah, man, I think that's like the best course of action for you and for her. Baby, you know, who knows? Maybe not.
Bottom line is, you know, prevention is worth whatever. Fucking ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Don't let it happen, you know. But I mean,
so medicine's all about, man. Prevention.
Yeah, that's
Prevention
right.
of
It
these
really
diseases.
is. If you just prevented this shit.
The world's overpopulated, man. You don't want any little like Trevor or fucking Keagan's running around.
Crazy shit.
All right.
So what crazy story do you got?
Man,
Trevor?
I should have left yours for the end.
I know, dude. I know.
No, this is good. This because that was like, it had to be first, man.
Oh, dude, it was crazy.
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, what's my girl's name again?
Anastasia.
Anastasia. Yeah, that's right. Maybe I don't fucking know.
That's what it is.
Anyway, her brother was visiting, and he's a travel nurse, so he travels around, nurses, and gets paid a lot of money for it. And he was with two of his friends, who are also travel nurses. And so, excuse me, he visited for like a weekend, like a couple weeks ago. Do you remember when that was?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was like, yo, I'm coming up spontaneously. We want to go around Manhattan, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, like, I'm probably not going to go do anything, you know, because I got stuff to do. But I told Anastasia that, like, if you want to go, you can go, obviously. So she hung out with them Friday. You know, they went to her place, and then they, like, got an apartment in Manhattan. And then Saturday, they went did something too. And then Sunday, I went for brunch with them. And Anastasia was, like, telling me about them. And I was like, oh, okay, they sound like okay guys. And I went for brunch.
And this is his friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's two of them. And so it was him, one guy, what's his fucking name? Cordell. And another guy, his name is Will.
Is he black?
No.
Oh, really? Damn. Check my stereotypes.
Cordell is a very white name.
Is it really?
I think so.
Oh.
I know two Cordells, and he's one of them. And they're both like
I know
white.
Corderell Patterson, former Viking.
Never
Anyway,
heard of
go
him.
ahead.
But yeah, anyway, like we had brunch, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go home. And Anastasia came with me, and then she's like, well, I'll probably go out with them one more time tonight. And I was like, okay. So anyway, she went, and then like the next day, I had to go to the hospital, and I came back, and she's like, oh, I have something to tell you. I was like, what?
She's pregnant.
Fuck no. And she's like, well, Cordell was like, basically came up to me at the bar, and he's like, hey, you know, I think we formed like a really good connection over the past like few days, and I know I'm working in Tennessee right now, but I'll drop everything and move here if you're willing to give me a chance.
Whoa!
Yeah, dude.
Whoa!
And I was like, what the fuck?
Drop everything and move here.
Yeah. And so when I heard this, I was just...
That's a bold ass move.
Yeah, I was just laughing because
I would be
it's so funny.
I would be too.
But yeah, there were some hints, you know, I'll go back and like add some hints that this was gonna happen. I have good eyes, I feel.
Uh-huh.
I can see what's coming.
Yeah.
And she told me that like, you know, they were out on Saturday night and they wanted her to stay and like spend the time or whatever. And she's like, yeah, you know, Cordell was telling some sob story about how his girlfriend just left him or whatever, how he just broke up.
Oh, that's really hot. Good call, Cordell.
Terrible story to tell. It never works.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was telling that story, and then like he was also telling a story about how he was in a relationship for 13 years, and like they were married,
Also
and
very hot.
They divorced because he went to Afghanistan. He came back and he was a different person, and then he found another girl, and they were dating for like 6 months, and he's like, I lost like $40,000 because like, you know, we got an apartment and I furnished everything, and then, like,
Jesus.
I don't know what the fuck how that happens, but...
And so he was gonna drop everything again and move in because it don't work this time.
Yeah, I guess.
Jesus.
And so like he literally just broke up, and that's why he came to New York. He was initially supposed to come to New York with his girlfriend, but you know, they broke up, so he decided to make it like a boys trip. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, you know, obviously after a breakup,
And maybe
like,
give it a little bit before you fucking try to move in with somebody. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, you know, after a breakup, people are like, you know, antsy or whatever, and I don't know, I was getting the hint that like, oh, he was into Anastasia, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's hot, so people can. So anyway, you know, I went on Saturday and I met him. He was like a few inches shorter than me, and like kind of a fat guy. So I was like, whatever. And he was like kind of awkward. I was like,
what if he was like fucking handsome?
I'd be more nervous, but again, like I wouldn't be like, it wouldn't matter to me.
What if he was smooth as shit?
So here's the thing, dude, and I don't know if this is like, you can never repeat this, okay? And I was like, worst case scenario, she breaks up with me for him. I like don't care, because my mentality is maybe I'll be broken or like hurt, but what I've been thinking lately is that like, you know, I'm a fucking young doctor.
You're a young whippersnapper. You're a young bull, son.
And like, you know, there's so many girls here. Like fucking talking to Abraham, I'm like, you know, it's so easy to like just meet people here. So I was like, you know what? If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. That's my outlook, and not like anything. She's great and everything.
That's awesome.
That's
the best way to look at that.
And I L-word her. You know, don't want to drop any L-bombs on this podcast.
You what?
Just kidding. I love her.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, you know, it takes two people to make things work, and if one person doesn't make it work, then you know.
So be it.
Yeah,
nice, man.
so
That's
be it.
awesome. I'm glad you feel that way. I didn't know if that's how you felt or not, but that's like the best way to look at shit.
Yeah, I thought a lot about it, and I was like, sure, breaking up sucks, but you know, if both people don't make an effort, then like, there's nothing really you can do.
100%. I was listening to this one podcast, and the guy was like, "What's the number one quality you look for in a girl?" And everyone had all these like opinions, right? But he's like, he said the right one. He's like, that the girl likes you. If the girl doesn't want to be with you, bro, it's the wrong girl. And then it's looks, and then it's everything else, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and looks is everyone's number two, you know, or number one. But yeah, they gotta like you. Otherwise, if they don't fucking want to be with you anymore, then call that shit off. You know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of signs too, you know. But anyway, that's for another thing. And so I saw, you know, I was like, man, this guy's probably like depressed or whatever. He's like, you know, unstable, like mentally. Not like, you know, he's gonna fucking kill someone, but like,
right,
you know,
but obviously not.
He's like stewing.
He's
like,
making
oh,
some
you
pretty
know,
goofy judgment calls.
He's like, I'm older, you know, I'm, you know, just came out of this long ass relationship, you know, everything. You're like, am I gonna find love? You know, blah blah blah. And even like Bronchi was saying, like, I'm not gonna have any kids, you know, blah. So, yeah, that's what my, you know, assessment was, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe. And when she told me, I was like, okay, that's like, you know, I saw it coming. But I was just so surprised. I'm like, really? Like, you would drop everything and do that? Like,
damn, a lot of guys would be. If they actually were given that option, like the girl came up with like, if you drop everything and come here and like spend time with me, I'll accept it. If you don't do if you do anything less, I won't accept it. Like, so many guys would take that for girls. Just random fucking girls that they've like barely talked to.
It's stupid, man.
It's
so
crazy.
Fucking stupid.
It's crazy.
But anyway, she told me that she's like, oh, you know, I have a boyfriend. Like, I literally met him just this morning, and like, I see a future together. So I'm not gonna do that. And he's like, well, I'll be like driving through here next weekend. Do you want to hang out? She's like,
oh
no.
my god, he doesn't get it either. Obviously.
Anyway, it was just like
that is crazy.
The saddest thing. And,
that's so sad. I know. Yeah. That is very sad.
But like, it is what it is, you know.
God damn, bro.
Anyway, that was my crazy. What's your assessment?
That's a good one. I mean, I was kind of doing it as we went along, but the assessment of the story.
Yeah.
And I just like that. The biggest thing is I just like how your mindset is right now. It's like, hey, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be,
Yeah.
With that said, I think some people will take that and be like, oh, so I won't try because if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But no, you got to try still if you want it to work out. But at the same time, don't give it everything you got. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I believe Anderson .Paak said, chase money, not women, or something like that.
Never heard of him, but okay, good lesson.
But yeah, so I think, you got the right mindset, man.
Yeah, and I even told him, like, this guy seems like he's depressed or something,
Mm-hmm.
But, what can you do?
Mm-hmm.
And
that shit's gonna happen. It's also nice to just accept that, like, people are gonna hit on your girl, even if it's really poorly, like that guy. But some of them are gonna do it really smooth, and be very attractive. And so it's like you have to have I don't know, I guess the resilience and the faith and not too much pride that fucks you up,
Yeah, it's hard, honestly, after a while. Like, if you've been out of a relationship for a while and then you're like, oh, why is everyone like looking at my girl, But I guess you get used to it,
Mm-hmm.
And I think girls like are under this pressure to like be friendly, and so people take that as flirting and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was, getting over a certain age, your dating pool like shrinks up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it gets tough, man.
Speaking of flirting, I have a good story. So this involves medicine at least a little bit, which is nice. So I'm in the hospital and we're doing rounds. Again, rounds consist of we go into the room, talk to the patient, and check them out, ask them questions, and then we leave, and then we go to the next room. Right? It's like a bunch of doctors. There's like fucking like 5 students, 6 students, and then like 2 residents, and then the attending physician are all doing this. Dr. G. We're with Dr. G, who's very particular, and if you like don't have gloves ready for her to grab, you don't have a gown ready for her to grab, she's like freaking out on people. So you gotta be attending to everything. You gotta know that she wants water and that she's parched. Like, it's that crazy. And so obviously, flirting during rounds would be, a lot if you were trying to do that. Well,
It's like
opportunities present themselves, and your boy Keagan
ready,
has to take advantage, So we walk into this room. I'm just outside. I'm like leaning on the door frame, and there's this girl just sitting there to my left. And she seems kind of cute. Whatever. I'm barely paying attention. And then she like looks in right next to me into the room, and I'm like, that was kind of weird. And then she's like, someone brought food in, and then she like made some random comment, and I know in the back of my head, if a girl makes a random comment around you, it means that you perk your ears up. It means she wants to talk to somebody, and it's probably you. and you should assume attraction, so you should assume that they're attracted, and boom. So I'm like, all right, well, she said, oh, anything to make my patients happy. I'm glad they're bringing food in. And it was just so random. And she's talking to nobody, So I'm like, okay, she's trying to get some attention. So I'm like, why? Are they like angry or something? And then she's like, no, I just, I want them to be happy. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, what do you do here? And she's just sitting in a chair in front of the room. And she's like, well, I take care of the patients. Like, I just watch the patients. I do whatever they want us to do. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do? And she's like, that's it. So I asked, and she's like, oh, but I'm a nurse soon, like in 3 weeks. I'm like, oh, that's great. Anyway, long story short, so we just talk about bullshit, right? Where she's from, a few blocks away. I'm from Minnesota. And then I make the very natural transition from, oh, I'm from Minnesota, where are you from, to, do you have a boyfriend? And she laughs and she goes, I have a few boyfriends. I have a few. And I'm like, and I deadpan, I'm still just looking at her, like she can barely keep eye contact. She can't really at this point. And then she's like, she's laughing, and then I'm like, do you want another one? and she could not handle that. She's laughing really loud now. And she goes, I don't know how to respond to that. And she's still laughing. And I'm like, okay. She's like, do you have an IG? And I'm like, no, I don't have IG. Write my number down.
Yeah.
So then she scrambles, grabs a pen, writes my number down. And and Dr. G's coming out of the room. They're all coming out of the room. You know, it's not good if I see them. So I break it off after that and just like text me, and then I walk away, and it was very smooth. It worked out very good.
Yeah, quick and easy.
Yeah.
Took
about a minute.
Get a numero and just move on. Mm-hmm. So do you guys ever like link up?
So normally, we had a date. Normally I go for first date, sexual intentions. Okay. And I tried that this time. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. I didn't have the balls to try a bunch of times. So, I mean, it was a great date at first, and I was trying to be like sensual and stuff. And then we came up to my room. We just had the date here. We just had like wine. I was going to be on the patio, but it was cold, so we just like played pool downstairs. And then we came back up after having some wine. And then we were like making out on the bed and stuff. But yeah, I went for it, and she's like, no, which I expected. But then I tried it like several